Good.
The predators are so savvy. You know, what parents do in this lifetime, in this generation, is that a lot of times they will sit and say, if you got any private information, you're going to be grounded. If you talk to anybody we don't approve of, you're going to get your computer taken away, get your phone away, blah, blah, blah. Well, what happens is predators have numerous personas. And how predators act is that they will form a internet persona just like their victim, whether it be a boyfriend or girlfriend. And once they collect their intel, as Justin was saying, if they'll be on that buddy list talking to that person all the time. Once they get their intel, they'll do an introduction. Hey, I've got this friend who buys me stuff. He sends me tickets, he sends me gift cards. Would you like to meet him? Sure. Then comes the predator persona. And now that predator knows everything about that child.
And it's the same person.
Yes. That's how savvy the predators are. So what parents need to do is have that open line of communication with their kids by telling them, look, predators are really savvy. They're very smart, and they like to trick you. If you come forward and tell us, if you get yourself involved in a situation that you think you can't get yourself out of, tell us, and there will not be any consequences. But we want you to be truthful with us because we can help you. We never want you to feel that way, that you're trapped and you have nowhere to go if somebody tricks you online. Because so many parents just want to put down the consequence and ground their kids. They give out that information. The important thing is to have that open line of communication and tell kids how savvy they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and one of the things we were talking about before we came on tonight was just the issue of cyber stalking. And that, again, is where these predators are going to come in, and they're going to literally stalk these kids until they come out and they come out to play. And that's maybe not a nice term, but that's the reality of it. So as long as the parents are involved, so long as they monitor as we're talking, and it doesn't really take all that much. A lot of things can be avoided.
It's the parent issue there.
Absolutely, and the way technology...
You may not know the technology your kids know, but you better watch the technology your kids know.
Absolutely. When I have spoken in the past with parents and functions like that, I've asked them by show of hands how many of them would take their child to the mall at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and just drop them off. And there's lots of giggles, just like I'm getting right now.
Thank you.
And everyone, no one will raise their hand. Well, the internet is the exact same thing, except instead of going out to that mall, your child is in that window. And it's the sexual predators who are coming in and looking for him. And that's what parents need to understand, is if they're not watching their children, somebody else is.
Right. And software is so huge now because the technology is forever changing. You know, technology now is that kids are hardly on the computer anymore. They are on their cell phones. They are text messaging. They are taking pictures. They can talk to anybody they want on their way to school, on their way to the mall, on the way to a friend's house, at a sleepover. And if parents are not watching that cell phone, it can mean big problems because the predators know that they can train a child to delete the text messages as they come and go. And that's what kids do.
Are there websites that you would like to refer people to that give them some information on how to track some of this and what to do?
Yeah. We both put, we came up with a list before we came on, and I'm not sure where they're going to show it, but there are about 4 different sites that you can go to that you can start to get information. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a great place to start, and that is one of the sites that's on the list, and they have unbelievable resources. They are also responsible for putting out the Amber Alerts that people are aware of, and they are a great facility and work with law enforcement. It's the cooperation is unbelievable.
The new technology now, again, is cell phones, and the only company that we know of, that I know of, is a new company called My Mobile Watchdog. What My Mobile Watchdog does is you have to have a smartphone. A smartphone means that the phone has to be able to get email attachments and email, and you have to be able to plug it into your computer and download an application. Every phone call, every picture, every text message, every email that goes in and out of that phone, a copy of that gets sent to a website. You then, as a parent, log into that website and you can see everything your child is doing. Now, some defense attorneys may have privacy issues with that, but however, when that phone is on, every time that phone is turned on, it says you are being monitored by Radar, the mobile watchdog. And the child knows that they need to regulate themselves on how they act on their phone.
And, you know, like Rich said, the privacy issues are there. However, we still have parents, and there are still parents in our society. And one of the issues I wanted to talk about briefly, and we hadn't discussed it before, is we still have 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids who are going online and who are talking to their friends.
Sure.
And are necessarily meeting other friends online, which can be construed as solicitation or otherwise. So parents have to be aware of this and talk to their kids about it so that they understand they're exposed. This is no longer the country we once thought it was. It's much more stringent. Much more checks and balances are in place now. And so we have to be aware what our kids expose themselves to, our older kids expose themselves. And we were talking about the strictness of the Adam Walsh Act that you know, everybody has heard all about, and the requirement that you be registered as a sex offender. And you know, we don't want our 16 and 17-year-old kids to be registered, and their lives are
I think what you're
altered.
saying is it's not just the kids who are being really victimized, it's the kids who casually get involved in something that they think is cute.
Yes.
Yes.
And it isn't.
Yes,
Legally.
absolutely. That's
it
a hot
isn't
topic now.
legally.
They don't realize the consequences of their actions. When we speak at high schools, and Detective Wistocki will back me up on this, when you go in and you talk to these kids and you say, how many of you have taken pictures of yourself or someone has sent them to you? And you get a lot of head nods and nervousness, and you say, well, if any of those are naked, you've technically committed in Illinois a Class 1 felony, and that's a non-probationable felony, and you would have to go to the Department of Corrections for possibly up to 4 years. Their eyes bug out of their head because they have no idea of what they've done.
I think that's what Mark is warning about. It's,
Right.
it's so accidental.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
In this latest conference that I went to with the ICAC in California, I was in a room with about 300 detectives with a panel discussion about sexting. And they would put up situations, and they wanted to know what all these internet detectives would do in these situations. And I was completely astonished that a third of the room actually would arrest a 13-year-old girl for distribution and manufacture of child pornography and make her a sex offender. Now in Illinois, if I wanted to do that, I could. But kids, and that would, to me, that would take away from what a sex offender really is. So what we need to be doing is making laws to protect our kids against themselves, not put them into adjudication, but give them consequences that they'll learn by that won't affect them for the rest of their lives.
Good points.
And it's a great point, because these laws that we have today, you know, people say watch out for the man, but we're born of fear, and these laws, all these laws that are enacted, we want to protect our society and our children, and that's the problem.
And I think you're saying, all three of you, it begins with the parents.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I thank you all so much. This has been, for me, very informative. I hope for our audience, very informative. I thank you all. I thank you, Detective Wistocki from Naperville, Mark Wolf from Woodridge, and Justin Fitzsimmons from Virginia. Thank you for coming. This has been Protecting Yourself and Your Children on the Internet. My name is Nancy Hablitzel, and thank you for watching Illinois Law, brought to you by the Illinois State Bar Association.